What's up, Hokie Nation, and welcome into this TSL video on your Wednesday afternoon. Virginia Tech softball is headed to Sweet Home, Alabama. The Tuscaloosa Regional as the Hokies take on 15-seed Alabama, Belmont on Friday afternoon, and then maybe Jackson State down the line as well. Sam Mostow joins us in just a minute to break it all down, so let's get it rolling on this TSL video on your Wednesday afternoon. And we record on Wednesday, May 14th, 2025 from our high-tech studio in the Virginia Tech Corporate Research Center. Remember to like, subscribe, and refer the show to a friend. I'm your host, Carter Hill, joined alongside our Virginia Tech softball beat writer, Mr. Sam Mostow. Nick Brown, our director of media, is behind the scenes, and we are so thrilled you could join us on your Wednesday afternoon. Sam, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm doing great. Semester's wrapping up. Get to watch a lot of fun softball this weekend. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, NCAA tournament's here for the Hokies. What kind of stands out about Virginia Tech's trip down to Tuscaloosa and facing off with Belmont on Friday afternoon?
It'll be a very interesting regional. Got 15-seed Alabama, maybe facing off later this weekend. Belmont on Friday. It'll be interesting because Virginia Tech was actually in Tuscaloosa earlier this year. Split a 2-game set with Alabama. We'll see how the rematch goes.
Surprised at all that the Hokies aren't hosting? Got to go back to Sunday a little bit. Surprised at all?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess I could have very easily seen it go both ways. There are a bunch of bubble teams right there. Alabama actually being one of them. Virginia Tech 2. Oregon eventually got that 16 seed. I don't know. There were a bunch of good teams that were in that bubble range, but dropped 2 of 3 to Pitt. Obviously lose the ACC tournament semifinal to Clemson. I wasn't surprised to see them not host.
Okay. Do you think... We'll go back to last week, and I don't want to hit on the ACC tournament a ton. Do you think if the Hokies had beaten Clemson on Friday, didn't want to ask Pete Demore this on the Pete Demore podcast, but I do want to ask you this as an outsider. Do you think if the Hokies had beaten Clemson on Friday in the ACC tournament, there would be a regional here in Blacksburg this weekend?
I think it's entirely possible, especially now that we know, especially in hindsight, that Clemson then went on to beat Florida State, win the ACC tournament. I don't know if you have a win against Florida State, as Virginia Tech did a week before, and then a win against Clemson, another top 15 team. I think maybe that puts them over the edge. But as much as anything else, dropping 2 of 3 to Pitt really hurt Virginia Tech.
Sure. So this weekend, you mentioned Belmont, stud in the circle. Can you kind of tell us about her and what Virginia Tech is going to be facing, and a little bit of a connection too with Bree Peck this Friday afternoon?
Yeah, I believe Bree Peck and Maya Johnson is the name of the Belmont pitcher. I believe they played travel softball together.
I think that sounds right. Yep,
something in that realm. Maya Johnson, she leads the country in strikeouts. She has 355 strikeouts this season, the second most strikeouts in the country, 282. So she's racked up a lot of Ks in that circle. She's 5th in the country with a 1.24 earned run average across 197 innings. She's been really dominant in the circle all year and boosted the Missouri Valley Conference champion Belmont just into the NCAA tournament.
Obviously, it goes without saying, you always want to win game 1 in a regional, advance to 1-0 in the winner's bracket. Likely then you face off against Alabama. You mentioned it, Hokies split with the Crimson Tide in the regular season. How do you like that matchup with Virginia Tech against the Crimson Tide, especially in an environment that is going to be hostile down at Rhodes Stadium?
It's certainly a hostile environment, but Pete Demore schedules early season games in these hostile environments. Both Alabama and LSU is also hosting. LSU is the top 8 seed? Maybe they're Maybe they're 9th.
Yes, I think they're 9th. They're 9th.
Okay.
They're 9th.
Regardless, LSU is hosting. They go to a bunch of these environments to simulate these NCAA tournament experiences before you actually get there. They've played in Alabama, I believe, 2 years in a row. I believe 3 of the last 4 years. They split 2-game sets in Tuscaloosa with Alabama the last 2 years. This year, they won the first game 2-1 behind some gutsy pitching from Emma Lemley, and then I remember 2 game-saving catches in left field from Lila Blackwell, and then Alabama kind of figured out Virginia Tech's pitching in game 2 right there and ended up winning that second game. It was 9-1. So I don't know. I could very easily see any game against Alabama going either way.
So I did some research leading up to the weekend. Pete Demore has coached against Alabama 17 times in his career in Tuscaloosa. 6 times at Virginia Tech, 11 times at Mizzou, and only 6 of those 11 were in the SEC. The other 5 were in the Big 12. He's coached in a super regional in Alabama too, so no stranger to going down to T-Town.
Did you go down there when he was at Kennesaw too?
No. Did not play down there at Kennesaw.
Yeah. I mean, he's got that SEC background. He was,
sure.
I don't know if Missouri was in the SEC at the time.
They were in the SEC from the 2012 season, I believe, maybe 13 on to his final year there in 16.
Yeah. Anyways, longtime assistant at Missouri, a lot of experience with those SEC teams. He's not afraid to schedule tough games, just partially because it builds a lot of good experience for the team, and also because it'll help out the RPI, that computer metric that factors in record and strength of schedule. So I don't know. I could see anything going either way this weekend.
A lot of the different outlets, including D1 softball, have named the Tuscaloosa Regional as one of the toughest regionals in the country. Now, Virginia Tech being in the regional is a big reason why. And I don't think really anybody wants to see Corey McMillan in the regional. And I think obviously she's turned into one of the better players in the country. That is going to be something to watch for this weekend. 30 home runs on the season. To see her shine in an NCAA tournament is going to be fun to watch if you're a Virginia Tech fan.
Absolutely. I mean, Corey McMillan, as you said, 30 home runs this season. She's got her batting average is .452. That doesn't factor in the 41 walks that she's accrued this season. She has walked 41 times, hit 30 home runs, which is a program record, obliterating her own program record, by the way, and an ACC record. Only 16 strikeouts this season. So she's just been dominant, somehow even getting even better as the season goes on. So, yeah, as you said, I don't think anyone wants to face Corey McMillan.
Well, and again, to see her on that stage, too. When the lights shine the brightest, typically your star players come out. And I'm curious to see what Corey McMillan does down in Tuscaloosa. About the roster, too, you just wrote a really good story on TechSideline.com, which I encourage everybody to check out on the 5 seniors. Rachel Castine, you got some news on her? Maybe coming back in 2026?
Yeah, she told me last week. I sat down with the 5 seniors.
Yeah.
The seniors, I guess a little deceiving. So it's the 5 people honored on senior day. Trinity Martin, eligibility-wise, is a junior, but she's wrapping up her softball career this season and moving on to bigger and better things. And Rachel Castine, she broke her wrist, I believe, 9 or 10 games in last season. Mm-hmm. And she said that the injury happened before the deadline to get or not get a red shirt. So it sounds like she can come back and play next season as a redshirt senior.
Do you, and I hate to go back to the basic question side of things, do you like the Hokies' chances against Alabama on the road? Again, very, very challenging regional. And again, you got to be Belmont first. But should they face off against Alabama, do you like the Hokies' chances to maybe pull an upset and come out of Tuscaloosa this weekend?
I think they absolutely could. They absolutely have the talent to do it. They absolutely have... They have all the pieces to do it. The question is, can they put it all together at the same time? They have been to Alabama before. They've beat Alabama before. There's no reason they can't do it again. You know, after the selection show wrapped up, Carter, you and I were there sitting in the back of the room as media members there. The selection show wrapped up. Virginia Tech was a 2 seed. They ended the broadcast, and Pete DeMoore turned to the team once the cameras turned off, and he said, okay, we've beat them once. We're going to go beat them again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like they very easily could. So that's... They have the experience to do it. They have the talent to do it. They have all the pieces to beat Alabama and move past the Tuscaloosa Regional to, in all likelihood, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, Norman, Oklahoma.
We'll worry about that down the line.
That's a later problem. That's a later problem.
Yeah, just gotta keep churning out wins and come out of this weekend down there. But yeah, it's very interesting to me because I definitely think they have a shot to win this regional. But again, you have to win game 1. Like, you can't start 0-1. Yeah, especially down there. You gotta win. You gotta win game 1.
It's not going to be easy there. I mean, they're getting one of the best pitchers in the country thrown at them. That won't be easy. But I think they certainly have the lineup and the offense to do it. The problems in many of Virginia Tech's losses this year have been they have one of the best offenses in the country. And just sometimes you're going to run into a good pitcher. Sometimes just the bats are going to go silent. That's the nature of softball. That's the nature of diamond sports. And to another extent, that's the nature of all sports.
Yeah.
That's how sports work. But if they can keep those bats going, keep Corey McMillan going, keep Jordan Lynch going, keep that lineup going, keep those bats going against, I mean, this is going to be one of the best lineups Maya Johnson has faced all season. We'll see what happens, but they certainly have the bats to do it.
How do you think Pete DeMoore tees it up in the circle this weekend? Do you start Emma Lemley on Friday? I feel like you have to.
You kind of have to.
To start a regional, you got to start her.
I mean,
because you would still have Mazarone for a would-be matchup with Alabama, but I feel like you got to start your best arm to start her for regional. You just have to. You have to.
It's the postseason. It's all hands on deck. I mean, if they have to throw Lemley until her arm falls off, they will.
Yeah.
I don't know. I assume you got to start Lemley game 1. If it goes how they draw it up and Lemley shuts them down and they easily move past game 1, then you get to game 2. Maybe you start Mazarone against Alabama. I don't know. She's been pretty impressive. She kept Florida State at bay. I mean, at bay enough to win that last game. So I don't know. You don't really know. I think you get past game 1 and let game 2 be a later problem.
I think it's one of those things where, again, all due respect to Jackson State, I'm just using them as an example because they're in this regional. I'm using them as an example. if you're facing off against Jackson State in game one, maybe you roll the dice a little bit and you start Mazzarone or Sophie Kleiman. But it's not. You're facing off against a very potent Belmont team. And yeah, I just think you got to start Emma Lemley on Friday.
I mean, with the three arms they really rely on, Lemley, Emma Mazzarone, and Sophie Kleiman, and also Cassie Grizzard to another extent.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all ACC caliber pitchers.
Sure.
They could, on any given day, theoretically take down any lineup they face. So I don't think they don't need to rely on Lemley until her arm falls off. I think they can use their various pitchers to, like, if they need a drop ball pitcher, they can bring in someone else aside from Lemley. If they need something, I don't know, if they have a certain matchup, a certain look they need, they can turn to any of their pitchers.
Yeah. And you mentioned the SEC and LSU real fast too. The SEC had 7 of the top 8 seeds in the NCAA tournament. Can you speak to the strength of the SEC? And again, I think Alabama finished tied for 10th in the SEC. And they're hosting a regional. Like, it's insane what that league has done this year.
Alabama finished tied for 10th in the conference with a 12-12 record. They went 500. Only one team, I believe it was Missouri, only one team in the SEC missed the NCAA tournament this year. Mm-hmm. I know it's a total cliche. It does actually just mean more. It's just it's that good.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't, again, there are gripes and reasons why you could get upset that Virginia Tech isn't hosting. Not exactly apples to apples when you compare their record in the ACC to Alabama's record in the SEC. So, some food for thought there, for sure. But, all right, what is coming up softball-wise on TechSideline.com? From your standpoint, you got a crazy big weekend, and then hopefully the Hokies can keep it rolling. But what is coming up coverage-wise for softball this weekend on TSL?
There is no shortage of softball content coming up on TechSideline.com. As we alluded to earlier, I sat down with the 5 seniors honored on Senior Day, wrote a long feature that's on the website now. I'll have a preview, I believe, tomorrow or early Friday. They're doing a media availability with Pete Demore tomorrow, so I'll get some quotes from him, and we'll go from there. Game stories all weekend, and then we'll see where the weekend takes us.
Awesome. Sam, appreciate the time.
Yeah, anytime.
This is like the old school TSL Today format, like a nice little sit down, 10 minutes, let's talk some softball. So appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
For Sam Mostow, Nick Brown, I'm Carter Holt saying so long from TSL, and we'll talk to you very soon.